Today we are going to demonstrate the Orange Julius lab. So remember to have your mask on, be sure to wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and then we're going to line up down the center of the room, okay, so that we are like kind of on the little blue like diamonds or squares, depending on which angle you're looking at. Okay, all the way down the room while you're waiting your turn. Okay, you're going to have your cup. You're going to walk over to where our ingredients are. There will be a bowl of ice here. You're going to scoop out a half cup. We already had the half cup ready, but there'll be a bowl there. You're going to measure your milk with a liquid measuring cup. Remember to, and just because this is so full, I'm going to kind of start it. Remember to have it at eye level on a flat surface. I'm going to check it. I need a little bit more. And there we go. And if you need to, there's a spout and you can pour some back in if necessary. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my cup. We're going to treat this kind of like our prep cup, okay? So then I'm going to come over here. 1/8 of a cup is actually 2 tablespoons. So we went ahead and put out 1/8 of a cup, even though your recipe says 2 tablespoons. Doing something twice would have been just fine. I'm going to scoop out here my orange juice, okay? And then we are going to dump this in here, just like that, okay? We are then going to measure my liquid or my vanilla over my prep cup. Again, I'm going to add it right in here to my cup. I now need 2 tablespoons or 1/8 of a cup of sugar. So I'm going to level that off and put that in. Okay, and then if you chose to get extra fruit, you certainly can. There's 1/8 or 1/4 of a cup here, probably just a couple of bananas, and then a couple of strawberries here. Well, it's kind of big, but that's okay. And go ahead and add that into your mixture. I've got it all like this. Okay, then I'm going to walk over here to my blender. Make sure you plug your blender in. We're going to dump all of our ingredients right in there, okay? And what I would suggest, because you're going to have a lot of the sugar left, you also need a 1/4 cup of water. So what I would suggest is to have your liquid measuring cup, sorry I didn't have that out, your other liquid measuring cup there, and go ahead and measure that, a 1/4 cup. I got a little too much. Okay, and what I would do is I would pour it into your cup so that you can get some of that other sugar out, and then pour it right back in like that, just to kind of rinse that sugar out, okay? Now, if you don't want it to be gritty like this, if you're afraid it might be gritty, you're welcome to rinse this out once you blend it and pour it back in, or you can just pour it right in on top of this. Either way is totally fine. You want to make sure that you have your lid on, right, because this comes out. We would not want to turn it on with that lid. If yours for some reason doesn't have one, you would like to put your hand over it, or maybe your cup or a plate, so that it doesn't splatter out, okay? We're going to put our lid on nice and tight. Okay, we're going to take a look at the blender now. Notice that my blue right here is showing. Okay, when I slide this over, that is going to indicate you're going to use these blue words down here. If I click this over, it shows gray. That indicates that I'm going to use my top gray words. That is where blend is, so I want to make sure the gray is showing. Okay, then I'm going to hit blend. Mix all that together so that it looks nice and yummy. I would recommend using your half spatula. Remember, your rubber spatula is what kind of scrapes the sides. So you can kind of do this, and it tends to splatter a little bit. You might scrape some of that sugar down, and then you can turn it back on if you think it's necessary. This looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and, now remember not to unscrew this. You want to just lift up. If you were to unscrew this, then it would fall out the bottom. Sometimes you feel like you have to set something in and like tighten it up, like our mixer bowl. You don't have to do this with the blenders. Okay, you just lift it right out. Make sure here I've got all my, yep, just double checking. And then I'm going to pour it over my counter. And it makes a nice serving of almost like a little smoothie, little fruit smoothie. Okay, Now, when I'm washing this, couple of reminders. There's a blade in there. You never want to stick your hand in. So you do need to take it completely apart. And over here we have one that's already been disassembled. Okay, and you can see how many parts it actually has. Okay, you have 6 full parts that need to be washed. You have the lid because it will splatter, the stopper of the lid, okay? You have the base, you have the blade itself, very sharp, make sure you wash separately. This, when you put it back together, goes in first, then your little rubber stopper, okay, to make sure there's a nice seal there, and then you put this on top and you twist it back on, so that you have your blender put back together after it's been washed.
And then you don't have to wash your blender in between the 2 people making the...
Correct. So if you didn't like the fact that someone used strawberry or banana, you could rinse it out. Or the person who doesn't want that stuff could maybe go first, because everybody has orange in theirs. Okay, so you guys can kind of decide that. But honestly, you can just dump the next person's back in here and do it. Just wash it at the end.